today. So every day we start fresh because we can't affect the past, but we damn sure can make a difference today.
Welcome to episode 54 of Shop Talk. It's Jennifer.
And Kari.
And we're back with another episode discussing 218 titled Under the Gun. We are rewatching old episodes through hiatus, talking about, different characters, doing Chenford week. So yeah, we just figured we would cover an episode from season 2. It's an action-packed episode. It gave great storylines across the board for the entire group. So we'll kind of jump right on in. Do you want to take us through it's not even that much news that we have, but it's just a little bit.
Sure. I mean, there's still lots of great behind the scenes moments that are being shared. The rookie rewatch has a thread from the first behind the scenes post from a few weeks ago, all the way down. So be sure you follow their thread for sure. I mean, we post stuff too, but yeah, so just behind the scenes, little videos or Instagram stories, things like that.
The picture of Sean Ashmore from today, that I'm still thirsting over 12 hours later. It's totally fine.
So just fun things like that to get everyone excited for season 10. So be sure to follow. You can follow us. Be sure you should follow the cast if you're not already.
And follow the rookie rewatch, because sometimes they catch things that we don't necessarily get, or vice versa too. So other than that, we'll just jump right on into the episode. So 218 was titled Under the Gun, and we had a few different storylines with Harper and Nolan, and then Grace was in there. Chenford with Rachel, and then Angela and Jackson. So we'll kind of start off with Harper and Nolan because they're the main part of the case, or the main part of the episode. So Nyla and John arrive at Shaw Memorial on a call, and Grace comes out saying there's an intoxicated patient who's complaining of stomach pain, but he's obviously been shot, and he's insisting that he's not. So they get to the patient. He's anxious and nervous, but he's still keeping up the lie. He's committed to this. And then Grace's husband comes by, and so the patient's this is my time to break out of here, because the attention's all diverted. So then after John gets the patient and kind of gets him in custody again, Grace introduces her husband Simon to Harper and Nolan, and Nyla is outspoken about John being there all the time. And Grace just gives her looks please stop, stop. And it's just all awkward. So then Armstrong shows up, and their criminal belongs to Armstrong apparently, and the criminal, we find out, ate all the gas station sushi and refused to pay, and then the owner shot him. So this was all part of the cold open, and no one's back looking at Grace and Simon talking, and Armstrong's just who's the guy? So Nyla kind of keys him in, and that is the cold open. So then
it was almost as awkward as when John pulled Grace along for going over to Nyla's house when she was staying over at Donovan's. For Lila's sake. I mean, that was it was a nice gesture for John to go over and try to be a buffer, but it was just oh, okay, Grace is here. It's this awkward, there's a couple and then there's two divorced people trying to be co-parents, and it's just awkward. And so
I will
say same energy.
I will say it wasn't as awkward as when Jason came up and crashed the Balin date, but nothing can top that. That was peak awkwardness. So but then Nyla and John, after the cold open, they're on special assignment per Gray's orders, and they're escorting some juvenile felons through a scared straight program at Cal Correctional. And Nyla's I'd rather be on the streets than doing this. And Nyla tells Nolan that these kinds of things are typically a lot of chaos and noise, and the jury is still out on whether or not it makes a difference. So her point of view on this is very jaded, and Nolan tries to be the optimistic one though, because of course. And he gets a call from Grace, and Nyla's just like, meet me outside, dude. And so Grace explains why her husband, technically ex, but not officially yet, was there. And it's because their son has gotten into some trouble at school. So she's like apologizing for the awkward first meeting. And then she says that they have to reschedule their dinner for the night because she has to meet with Simon so that they can talk about their son. And John's like, okay, but you can tell that he's kind of nervous. So John gets back into like the work mode mindset, and him and Nyla are lining up the juvenile delinquents, and Nyla's like naming them all off. Fletcher tries to hit on Nyla, which like you can't blame the kid, but also I don't know, you're like he was like 15. And she is like, oh, there's nothing better than getting hit on by a 12-year-old delinquent. But he says, I'm 15. And John's like, that's still not better.
Yeah, he's like, not better. Like,
yeah.
That was a fun moment. I love that.
And the kid's just like, okay. Like, he doesn't really care.
He like still keeps at it though. Like, even
right.
a little bit later, it's like, dude.
Yeah.
Like, why? It's so funny.
So then Nyla and John like have to stop and get gas, and Nyla's not like obviously thrilled about it. And she's just like, why do we always get the cars that need gas? And John's just like, oh yeah, that's karma. It's payback for me crashing cars, like, before you were my TO. And she just gives him a look like, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
Like,
what
we're
I
really
would
doing this?
give for like a flashback to like 102 or something when Nolan's like veering off and Talia's like yelling at him. Like
when
that would have been just perfect.
When he becomes the TO, I feel like he could have a rookie that's kind of like how he was when he was a rookie. And like, let's give him that same experience that like Talia had. And Nyla, really.
Yeah. Or the one where like I think it was like a not bulldozer, but like a crane type thing that person was like stealing on the street, and he just kept going, like ignoring John completely, and then like it crashed right into their shop, and you could just see John's memeable face as it was happening. It's like, that's gonna be a lot of paperwork, isn't it? Like something like that. Like I just want some of those kinds of moments in like a flashback sequence or something.
So then they allow the juveniles to use the bathroom, and John's, Mr. Nice Guy, because of course. And he's asking if anyone wants snacks, and Nyla's just like, she gives another great look. And she's like, dude, what are you doing? And Fletcher asks if he can get a beer, and John's just like, that's a hard no. So he hands cash to the other two kids that are like going inside to use the restroom, and Nyla tells them to go stand off to the side while she talks to John, and John's like, I know that you know that I'm not, I know that you think I'm naive, but I like to see the good in people. And he says, and maybe that's the laziness on your part. And I thought that was like bold of him, because I mean, so she came in at 204. They have only worked with each other for like what we can assume is like a few months or something. So I mean, for him to say that, I was like, oh, dude, okay. But then John kind of challenges her to see like the difference that makes when you show kids a little respect. And then in the background, you hear the van turn on, and it like goes off, like it just starts driving off. And Nyla turns back to John, and she's like, are you sure about that? Like, we should show these kids respect. And the van doesn't go too far though, because Hector has Fletcher, who's driving in a headlock, kind of like he came from behind him. And Hector stopped him because he doesn't want Fletcher to ultimately add time to his sentence because of his stupid ideas, which Hector, okay, drawing it back to One Chicago, because hello, like everything comes back to that, at least for us. Hector was played by the kid who played Diego, Antonio's son. So yeah. So then
I did not know that.
I think while I was watching the show for the first time, I texted you that, because I was like, there is a lot of like One Chicago people from The Rookie, or like vice versa.
It's like what, like a 5-year difference, I guess, from like when he was first on to like
he was little Diego. Like we never
Yeah.
saw older Diego. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
the little one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably almost 6 years from when they started like filming. So
Uh-huh.
it was like early on in PD, but yeah.
That was in
Well,
Fire. Oh yeah, early on in PD when we saw
Yeah.
Diego. But yeah, so then Hector says like he didn't do the right thing for Nolan. And Nolan's just like, that doesn't matter. Like you still did the right thing. So they're getting the gas, waiting for juvenile transportation to take Fletcher back. And John, Nyla, and the other kids go to the correctional center and they have to hand in their duty belts and weapons and all that. And the corrections officer that they're meeting is like, I thought you were bringing me 4. And Nyla's like, yeah, well, he flamed out. So he has the other juveniles face the fence and tells them like they have to obey his orders. Meanwhile, the other inmates are like standing around, like obviously blocked off by the fences, and just like watching like the new meat basically, kind of come in and it seems like they're trying to scare them. They probably are, but like they're also just trying to get them like all wound up or whatever. So then the warden comes out to meet with Nolan and Harper, and she tells John that it'll be hard to watch all of this go down. So in like the room that they're like kind of sitting in, it's almost like their training room or whatever. The corrections officer Sharp gets a little rough with Hector, and John wants to stop him, but Nyla just stops him. So then we see some inmates come in to meet with the juveniles, and we meet Oscar again. And the warden's kind of shocked, but also not really, that like John knows Oscar. And she says that he's not here to say anything useful. He's the monster that they'll be locked up with. So, of course, he always has something to say. So while Kane, the other inmate, is there like scaring the crap out of a kid, Oscar's trying to talk to the warden, and she's like, I don't want to hear it, talk to the kids. So then Oscar like kind of zeroes in on Hector, not in a scary way, but in more of like a realistic way. And so he's kind of talking to him while John talks to the warden, saying like that's not how they should go about scaring Hector. And she's interested to hear what he has to say. So he mentions Hector's brother. They bring in his brother, and who's shocked to see Hector there. And Nyla says, Hector, he thinks that his brother is a role model, and Hector's just like, stop talking to him like that. Like, he's not that bad of a person. But Thomas is like, no, she's right. I'm no one to be proud of. And so then Thomas says that people are afraid of him there, and Hector's like, oh no, they respect you. And Thomas just gives him the cold hard truth. So then we hear the alarm kind of go off in 2 short bursts, and she says that there's some trouble going on that she needs to attend to, but Oscar's like, she's lying, there's a riot going on, and it's about to get crazy in here. So the warden comes back, and they ask what it's looking like out there, and she says that there's several casualties, which are mostly inmates and 1 guard. She says that 60% of the prison is under inmate control, which means they got to get out of there now. So she tells the other COs to like lock up Thomas and Hector and Kane, and put them in the B wing, while Sharp is to escort Nyla, John, and the kids out. And so Tom asks John to like keep Hector safe, and tells his brother to listen to John and stay away from the facility. So Sharp is like, it's time to move. Nyla, says that they need weapons and everything. So she breaks a wooden chair, but then they only ever take like 1 piece of the chair that they broke. I was like, wouldn't you want more? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if they would like just need, I don't know, like their other hand and like
Yeah.
arm and hand to like signal like to other people, or to like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, to break the chair like into pieces and then only take like a couple. Better than nothing.
Yeah, because like even the kids broke chairs too. So it was like, I guess take at least 2 of the legs, but then again, like, yeah, you want your hands free too. So I thought that this was really sweet. Like John goes up to Nyla and he asks, if she's scared, and she's like, you want the truth? And he says no, and she's like, I'm not scared at all. But you can tell that she is, and so is he. But they have to put their brave faces on. And I don't know, I just thought that that was like a really sweet moment between them, because up until that part in the episode, like it had been like looks and digs at each other and like banter and all that. And I mean, and even up until this episode in general, like, you know, they were still figuring each other out.
Yeah.
So then Sharp's like, you know, there's no real way out of here that doesn't go through a cell block. So they walk through one, they hear a loud crash, and the boys run until they're stopped by two inmates, one who's still a CO uniform. So then the boys get behind the officer, and the officers go into fight mode. And even the boys kind of get into action too. And they have to move fast because there's like other inmates that are coming. So they end up getting outside on the other side of the fence just in the nick of time, and they hear an inmate come over the radio, and they have the warden held hostage. So the CERT team is on the other side of the prison, and Sharp is like, it'll be a while before they get to her. But John and Nyla is like, well, we can. So John and Nyla go back in, leaving Sharp and the juveniles outside. So Hector questions why they would go back in and save her when they don't owe her anything. And John's just like, it's the right thing to do. And I loved this part. Hector was like, why is everything a teachable moment with you? Like, I don't know, it's not supposed to be comedic in the moment, but like it kind of is, because it's very true when it comes to John Nolan. So then John and Nyla go in, but in a different way, because they need some help from like the one and only Oscar. And when Nyla's asking like why he's not out there causing trouble, Oscar's like, it's because I got tired, and the guy that I wanted to beat up was already messed up by the time I got there. So, you know, it is what it is. So then Nolan's just like, you're the ultimate opportunist, and if there's a chance to escape, you'll try. But there isn't a chance to escape today. So like the most that you can get is privileges. So then Oscar gets two inmates to close to John and Nyla, so that they can kind of take them down, and they get the warden out of the cafeteria. It looks like where that's where they're holding her. So then as they're on their way out, like what seems like the entire prison of inmates, I mean, it probably is, but it definitely seemed like it if it wasn't. They come in from like behind them, in front of them, like they just surround them. And Oscar's like, I'm out, like you guys are on your own. And Thomas, Hector's brother, asks where, you know, he is. And John's like, he's out, you know, like he's fine. And Thomas is like, he goes up to another inmate, and he's like, you know, they're gonna walk, and the inmates end up backing off. And then suddenly Oscar's like, you know, back on John and Nyla's side, because the dude has to get his privileges. So John, Nyla, and Hector like all get back to the district at the end of the episode. And Nyla's like, I'm gonna go change, and you know, I'll take you back to juvie to process you out with the other boys. And Hector says that like Hector seems to have come around to them a little bit more. And Armstrong comes up and tells Nolan, like, trouble kind of finds you, huh? And Nolan's like, they told us to scare the kids. We scared those kids. So that was kind of nice to see, like, between John and Armstrong. And then, you know, obviously we know what happens with Armstrong. So, but then, you know, Armstrong asks John how things are going with Grace, and he's not entirely sure. She's having dinner with her ex as they speak. Which I want to know, like, how long were they at the prison? Because we see them there in like daylight, or at least the afternoon, and then the next time we see them, it's like dark out.
I mean, I would assume like I mean, not like a normal shift for them, maybe, but I
right.
mean, a full day, I would assume.
Yeah.
I don't
know. So then, you know, John has another teachable moment with Hector, who seems like he might be kind of coming around to John and all of his, you know, teachable things. And John's just like, it's okay to put yourself second every once in a while. The men at the prison were selfish. They put their own needs above all else. So then Grace shows up at the district, and both of them have to kind of tell each other something. So Grace drops the bomb that Oliver has been having trouble at school because of the separation, and Simon wants to give it another try for Oliver. When John asks what she wants, she says that she doesn't really know, but they have such a great thing going. But if getting back together with Simon for Oliver like can help, then maybe that's what she needs to do. And that is the end of Dr. Grace and Nolan, which sad face. I don't like to see it.
No, she was good for him.
Yeah.
I honestly, I really like thought that they would like be in it for like the long haul. And
yeah.
I don't know. But I mean, you know, gotta do what you gotta do.
I almost hope that like, I don't know. Not that I want to see Bailey like totally go away, but like also, I don't know, like down the line, it would be really cool if they could bring Dr. Grace back, like whether she was played by Allie Larder or not, and kind of see if they can like rekindle, you know, their relationship, just because like they knew each other in college and like, you know, it kind didn't really go anywhere then. And then they were able to kind of like reconnect like in, you know, their later years. And, you know, so it'd be kind of cool to see that like happen a third time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is 218 for John and Nyla. It was a big one for them.
Yeah, I know. There's so much like action. Like
Yeah.
like physical like movements for them.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So for Jennifer has it written as Chenford and Rachel. Even though it starts with Tim and Rachel. At least we get shirtless Tim first, so that's always nice.
God bless.
Yeah.
God bless.
Yeah. And so he's like, I guess, getting ready for the day, and like Rachel's sitting on the edge of the bed, and this is when she announces her job offer. Wow, I tried to say opportunity and offer at the same time. That's offer is not a word. Her job offer in New York. And like, of course, Tim's happy for her. But like, you can kind of tell by his face that her like, you know, kind of comment of like, you know, you can, you know, there are cops, you know, in New York too. Like, you know, so like he could kind of like, he could be a cop anywhere, but this is kind of like her like dream job. It like, you could tell it kind of took him by surprise a little bit. But I mean, regardless, he thinks it's a good opportunity for her. And so they kind of, you know, like they can't really talk about it more because obviously like he has to leave for work. She has to, you know, like kind of they just need a little bit of space for now to like process things. Gotta love Kojo just like chilling on the bed in the background. Like
I forgot that he had Kojo at this point.
So fun. Gotta love it. And like I'm still wondering like if or how Tim like explained why Kojo was there to like Rachel, because like he did for Ashley, so like I would assume he previously did that too. But
maybe Lucy told her.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, because they're like besties.
Yeah.
So maybe so. I don't know. I just am always like curious. But then also like when is it gonna be like Lucy or Rachel sitting? Like, sorry. Not sorry. Like
season 5 come through. Season 5 come through for us.
Yeah. Please. Like 2 best boys and Lucy. Like,
okay, you know what? Speaking of season 5 and behind the scenes, we have not seen Melissa and Eric together yet. We haven't really gotten like pictures of like Lopez together.
No.
Or like Chenford together. Like they're holding out on us, I feel like. But also I kind of want it to remain a surprise.
I do too.
Like we've made it this long through hiatus that I'm like, the next few weeks will fly by. But yet I'm also like, we have 75 or 70 something days. I'm as keeping count of the rookie until it comes back. I'm like, I don't know if I can. But also, if Sean Ashmore keeps dropping thirst traps like that, I might be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he can definitely rock a suit for sure.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I kind of want like, I need them to do like a selfie, like Melissa and Eric. I need them to do a selfie like in their complete like juicy and dim
Yeah.
costumes.
I mean, we know
Um,
that it's gonna happen.
yeah.
So
But like if they like I don't even care. They can wait to drop it to like after the episode or like, you know, the day of or whatever. But
yeah.
like like at some point during this season 5, like they have to share it. Like I know, honest to God,
Yeah.
one of them has to have one on their phone. Like they need to share it.
So I was looking, so like rewatch all the episodes on Hulu, and I was going through season 4, because that was like the next episode that was gonna air as like a rerun or whatever. And it said for 422, Tim and Lucy go undercover. Like that was the only like information about the episode. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's not even true though, because they
Uh,
don't go undercover.
I mean, not really. I mean,
It's
unless
like,
you count like Lucy having the construction like vest on
yeah.
and
But
coming out of the truck to like go,
and
you
I
know, do
guess
the thing. But
Tim did go undercover, but it wasn't like
yeah.
his tattooed alter ego. I don't know. It was just like
I mean,
I
it
read
was,
that and
but
I
it
was
was
like,
just like briefly. Like it wasn't
yeah,
anything. It was just like for like a meet. Like it wasn't like a
yeah.
full go somewhere and like stay there permanently kind of thing.
Well, I'm like, Hulu does kind of have short like captions about the episode, because for this episode, I think all it said was like John worries about Dr. Grace or whatever. And it was
Yeah.
like, so it's not gonna explain the episode. Like
Yeah.
it was
Well, it's just
whatever,
like the
but
promos, how the promos, you know, like at least like for
yeah,
this one, for example, it only showed like the prison riot and
yeah.
that kind of thing.
I just thought it was funny that it said Tim and Lucy go undercover, and I was like, they kind of didn't, but yeah, they did kind of. I don't, yeah. So
Mhm. Yep. Um, and so a little bit later, Tim and Lucy are sent to do like a welfare check on a child, and Rachel meets them there because she's like familiar with like the situation. Um, they all try to like enter the home, but like the kid's mom is like, "Oh no, 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 he's fine." Like, um, but you can like kind of like see in. It's like obviously the kid like doesn't look well. And so like they end up coming in, and when they kind of like initially evaluate, Paul is the kid's name, Rachel starts to wonder if like his mom could be making him sick for attention, like it's like Munchausen's by proxy is like that
mhm.
term. uh and so like on that assumption or like suspicion, I guess, is why Rachel like calls in like more people, like an ambulance to, you know, like get Paul to like treatment, and then to like have like his mom like remove, like to separate them,
Mhm.
since she's the one that's like suspected of possible neglect. um and Chenford's like staying at the scene for a moment too, as Paul's like lifted into the ambulance. This is when Rachel asks like Lucy what she thinks about the whole like New York thing and like Tim, and um I like that Lucy was like, well, Tim's, you know, LA born and bred. Like I'm pretty sure like Eric has that in like either his Twitter bio or like his Instagram bio or something. I don't know. Or something similar to
Yeah.
that. Which is just fun. I don't know. I like things like that. But she also is like, the man's a mystery. Like, so she really doesn't know like how exactly he's going, like what his final decision is going to be, I guess.
Mhm.
And I liked that Lucy looked over at Tim when she's saying this, and there's a parallel of, well, I mean, yeah, no, I guess it's still a parallel of this that happens in the next episode, I believe, 219, where Tim is like looking across the way to Lucy as he's speaking to another officer. So it's kind of a fun little parallel, because they're looking at each other when the other one's not looking or like doesn't notice. So
Yeah.
um
I did look, and Eric has product of LA
oh,
in his
product of
Instagram
LA.
and Twitter bio. Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know, I just think that's fun, because like he's like, an actual fan of like the LA Rams,
Yeah.
and like, so you have Tim and like the
Right.
jersey for that one episode in season 2 earlier. So
Yeah.
just fun little things like that. Like I just enjoy
Mhm.
that. But anyway, so word comes back that like the talk screens are like clear for Paul, so like they don't know like what was causing him to be sick. In the meantime, Tim meets with Sergeant Gray to inquire about transferring to the New York Police Department, aka the NYPD.
This entire sequence is just hilarious.
It was so funny. But also, why does that make me want like a rookie and
NYPD.
SVU, like SVU?
Stop.
Thing.
The rookie and
just like when
SVU.
Chicago did it, that I just anytime the NYPD is mentioned, I'm like, oh, SVU, Law and Order.
Yeah.
Like anytime.
Oh my god, I would love to see Rollins and Lucy kind of like work together.
It's so fun.
Oh, now I need that. Dick Wolf, just like make these things happen.
Yeah. And so like, of course, as Gray's like listening to this, he's like, well, you'd have to like essentially like go through the ranks again, like, starting from the bottom, working way back up. Joking that he would be the John Nolan of the NYPD, and I think that's a GIF that is on, or like in the little like section.
And even like Gray wearing his glasses, like we've used to that as a meme before.
I know. He's just so like trying to be serious, but it's like just you can kind of tell he just has these little, like remarks, I guess, that he's like wanting to say.
Well, and even
Tim was like leaves.
And even Tim was just like, it's not funny that I would be John Nolan. And Gray's like, no, it actually is hilarious. I'm like, I mean, it is.
Yeah. No, it is.
Yeah.
And so, and he also like asked if like Rachel had anything to do with like all his questions, and Tim's kind of like, no, like, it's just like, it's me asking. But like obviously like again I say Tim's poker face needs work, like of course it's because of his like relationship it's influencing this. So speaking of, Rachel drops by a little bit later and tells him that like she found out that like the water in the neighborhood had like heavy metals in it that were making other kids sick too, and because of that like those families switched to well water, which like corresponded with the time that Paul initially got sick. And so like that's what caused it, like not like parental neglect, I guess. And so like Rachel's obviously feeling terrible. She's like desperate to find a way to like reverse the situation, since she was so sure that it was like that Paul's mom had done something that she like removed him from her care. And literally cut to her being sat down on the bench near the holding cells because she tried to get the company to listen about the water to no avail, and like got cuffed for it. So that was kind of, it like reminded me of like when Wesley got booked for something. I can't remember what it was, like season 1, I think, Lopez and like Angela like sat down across the way from him, just like,
and they like played footsies or whatever.
I don't think that was the same episode. I can't remember now.
No, it wasn't. I don't think, because there was the criminal.
Yeah, but it was just something like, I can't remember what exactly it was. But I just remember like they had like a similar thing where it's like, one half of the relationship is in cuffs for one reason or another.
Yeah. I do remember that, because I remember Angela being like, kind of flirty with him.
Yeah. So, but like, so she and Tim are talking. It's like, I don't know, like not so much about like the current situation, but just like their earlier talk about like, what they kind of want, because like they're kind of starting to realize that like Tim can't exactly like leave LA really, at least not right now. Like that's, but like she still wants this like dream job in New York, so they're like kind of at an impasse. And obviously it's not an official breakup or anything because, really you can only handle one breakup an episode. Like you had Grace, it's just like it's really more like Tim has to make a decision at some point, which obviously that like comes to a head in the next couple episodes. But like it was nice to see that like he was still like reassuring her, like he wants to make it work, like he, like they want to just enjoy their time together that they have now. Yeah, I don't, they had like quite a few moments like that, like Rachel and Tim did, where it was like I don't know how to describe it exactly, like a circumstance like might have like tried to be like an obstacle for them, and then it was like they had to kind of, like, no, it was more like Tim reassuring her though that he wasn't going to go anywhere. Like when she had I don't even know what it was now, that like medical issue that would like, have like that he would need to like take care of her if they have like got serious down the road or something.
That's right. Yeah.
And then she was like, well, if you want out, like I understand. He's like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's kind of always him, because then like in the next couple episodes, it's, like he was going to take her out to dinner or whatever, and then he, had to finish the case, and then ends up pulling up, I think, by her taxi, I think in 219 or 20, I can't remember which, and then it's like, I don't know what, future's going to be like, but they're going to, make it work. And then that didn't really happen.
Yeah.
Cut into season 3. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, I just feel like that was like a common theme for them, was like a kind of circumstance getting in the way, Tim kind of trying to be like more like reassuring that like this can work. Not that Rachel wasn't, but she was just always like, it was always clear like her position on things, whereas Tim, obviously with everything with Lucy, it's like, kind of
right
in that like subtext as to why he's, like that. But yeah, so it was nice that they had the like moment, and like, not gonna lie, I mean, I still liked them. I liked Tim and Rachel more than I liked Tim and Ashley. For sure.
I think their relationship seemed a little bit more natural than like Tim and Ashley. Like Tim and Ashley, it feels like maybe it's just because it's working on that build up to Chenford, but like it feels like it's kind of more one-sided. Like Ashley's trying to put in the effort and Tim's not really wanting to, or vice versa. But like with Tim and Rachel, it definitely felt like more natural between them. Maybe it was because Lucy had kind of set them up and like she knew what Tim was looking for,
like a common thread.
Yeah,
I don't know, but it was a, kind of like a little bit of a bittersweet moment for them, but still like they had they were on solid ground for the time being, which was good for them, I think. And obviously, Rachel got the charges cleared up and everything. Like she wasn't, staying there near the holding cells forever, which was good. And just, I don't know, I kind of, that just, I don't know, because I'm just thinking ahead now to like how 19 and 20 played out, and just like it was kind of like open-ended. And then I mean, obviously eventually it's like implied that they broke up, but
long live Tim and Rachel and Dr. Grace and John. Long live.
For sure. So we also had a little bit of a storyline for Angela and Jackson. They also Angela, I guess, got called into Gray's office for a kind of a special assignment as well. Because she and Jackson have a ride along. an analyst named Elvis, and he was brought in apparently because there have been some concerns about how like Angela's working her beat on patrol and things. And like, so he's very technical. He's very like looking at predictions and how computer algorithms can predict like policing. And Angela's not much for that. She's just like, no, this is like all BS. And Jackson, ever so nicely tries to kind of like rein her in a little bit and is like, you gotta like play nice throughout this whole thing, because it's like he like, I don't know, like he's kind of going to be like judging her in a way, and like how, to see how she does throughout this whole shift. And like, even though they butt heads a lot, Angela does kind of manage to show us a few tricks about like how to read people sans technology, which is like impressive, like including the takedown of the guy 2 times her size by the kneecaps, which was, it was just cool. Like, she's a badass, and like she knows it. We all know it. It was just cool to see her like show that off.
Yeah.
Like, I got this, like she doesn't need the help of computers or like, I don't know, like human, like
like AI, artificial intelligence.
Yeah, like there's always that thing, it's like, are humans gonna be, like outwitted, outnumbered by technology? It's like, no, like, I don't know, just like in this moment anyway, Angela was like, no, I got this. Like, she can read people, she can predict what the guy's gonna do next because she's studied criminals for so long and like been on the job for so long. Like, she's seen so many situations, so obviously she has tricks and she has things that she knows work. And I mean, even though humans make mistakes, obviously, as it is shown a little bit later, technology can make mistakes as well and not be so reliable. And so, because like later, Jackson and Angela are called into like an active shooter scene, and when they arrive, they find a bunch of people running from an office building, but they have to go in and obviously try to find the gunman. Angela's like, you're gonna stay in the car. Like, the analyst is not going it. Like, he's staying there, out of harm's way. But they, Jackson and Angela do have to go in to like try to de-escalate the situation. So they make their way through the building. They're kind of ducking in and out of cubicles while trying to help like a few other people to like kind of either like get out or to like find cover somewhere that's safer. And like the whispered tones and like almost like dead silence otherwise like makes this part of the scene like a little bit eerie, but like in a smart way. Like, it was like smartly done TV wise. And they like make their way sort of like almost to the ground, like just very, very low, like crouched down lower to the ground. They're trying to get an eye on the shooter. I like their like eye contact and like kind of, just how they communicate. Like every partnership kind of has that, I think, like more established because it's, like end of season 2 kind of thing. But Angela's the one that ends up getting a clean shot and taking down the gunman so they can arrest him. So it's learned the hard way that the computer can't predict everything. He didn't see, like, the guy like was upset because of the was it dating app, and like he didn't see like the guy's like anger because of this like relationship coming to an end. Like, he didn't see that coming. And so like I had said earlier, like technology is not always reliable because it can't predict, like it can't pick up on all human emotion, and so it was kind of like, I don't know, it was a good like lesson, but then also I feel like it was kind of like vilifying for like Angela to be like, yeah, I told you, in a way, like, because like she ended up being kind of right. And at the end of the episode, this is when I miss scenes like this, like a little scene, like because it's like Chenford and Westlow, like they're all at the table.
Yeah.
I miss scenes like that, like just little things. It turns out that Angela was the wrong Lopez. And there was another officer that was like really the target, like another Angela that was really like the target.
Yeah. It was like Angelo and Angela, and it was, you were off by a letter.
Yeah. And so it was like, so like she was the wrong person. And so like that ride along was was like technically for nothing because like her police tactics are fine. And so it was quite the day for Jackson and Angela. And like I don't know, I just thought it was so funny though, because like when she was like trying to like, you know, take down the guy or whatever, Jackson was like not narrating it, you know, but like getting, like he had like a few comments like as it was happening, and is like, oh wait, like this is gonna happen now. I just miss them. I think I miss Jackson and Angela.
Same. Yeah, I miss their dynamic.
Yeah,
like he was always trying to keep her in line, and you know,
just
not really having it.
Yeah, but they were just like really good like supports or like supporters of each other.
Yeah,
too in the end. And I'm just sad we never got to see, well, obviously their kid would not probably not have been named Jackson.
Yeah.
But, you know, Jackson with Lopez's baby.
I know. It's so sad that we didn't.
Yeah. But anyway, it's always that we have these, you know, old episodes to go back and, you know, watch their dynamic and how it has evolved. So
yes,
it was nice. And I kind of, yeah, I think I just kind of missed the like TO rookie like relationship or like, you know, like partnership like that. Like someone else has to like learn.
Yeah.
So it'd be kind of fun if that was, even if it is John Nolan being a TO, like I don't know, I'm sure he could, you know, teach a rookie something.
I mean, even if they have, because I think I tweeted this out during one of the rewatches, like even if they still have Aaron there as one of the rookies, like can we bring in someone else too? Because it would just be fun to have like a couple of rookies for them to like kind of buddy up and like be friends and bounce things off of each other versus just like having Aaron who's just like going through it by himself. Because realistically, like, I don't know, I mean, at a police station, at a district, like, is there just one rookie? Probably not. Like, there's probably more. So yeah.
It'd be fun if it, I mean, I don't know if it would like have to be a female to like balance it out or not, but
yeah,
it'd be kind of fun if there was.
Yeah.
Can Katie come back?
That's what people were tweeting about, like after the rewatch. Yeah.
Yeah. Because she was cool.
Yeah.
And like I think that like her portrayer had even said that like they'd be down with that. So
yeah.
Yeah. So something like, because they brought what's his name?
Badger.
Yeah, Larry.
Yeah.
Back. So Katie next.
Yeah.
That's what I'm manifesting.
Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, very off topic. But yes, we miss Westlow. We like Tim and Rachel. Yeah. John and Nyla had quite the time in this episode, and R.I.P. to John and Grace.
And Tim and Rachel, honestly.
Yeah, and Tim and Rachel, yeah.
But like also Kojo just like chilling there on Tim's bed, just like watching.
Mood.
Oh my God. It was like, I totally forgot that Tim had Kojo around then. Like,
well, like I didn't even notice Kojo like in the background until I did like, I think like a rewatch. I mean, I think it was sometime last year, but still, it was like maybe my third time watching the episode, and I finally noticed there was a dog in the background. So,
and he was just like chilling, like, I don't really know what's going on, but like this is a comfy bed and I'm around my human, so
yeah. I'm still betting that he was like, where's Lucy?
I know. Like, this is not my mom here. Like,
Yeah.
you need to fix this, or yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have any other notes on this episode? It was
No.
action packed.
I just miss every like how things used to be a little bit. It's making me nostalgic.
I literally just miss everyone. Like, just give me the show back. Even if it's like every other week or something. Like, I don't care. Just give me new episodes. Because I
Well,
just
you know
I miss
how
my
like
people.
they have like, I can't speak. My God. Reruns of like, or like marathons, I guess is a better term of like,
Yeah.
Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, SVU, like things like that.
Yeah.
I need like a rookie marathon, like sometime, like a Sunday where it's like all day.
Yeah, I mean,
with
like we can
rookie.
like binge it on Hulu and stuff, but like the channels will sometimes like change it up. Like it'll be like a
Yeah.
season 1 episode, a season 4 episode,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, it would be fun to have that like
Yeah.
change. I don't know. I mean, like,
'cause even Lifetime Marathon's Castle, for crying out loud.
yeah.
I watched that on vacation. Lauren's gonna be so proud of me.
I don't know. I mean, like Ion. Okay, what show did they just add to their rewatch? MacGyver, I think.
Yeah, it was
Their
either
marathon.
MacGyver or like Hawaii 5-0 or something.
Hawaii 5-0's been on there for a while. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was MacGyver. They like took off Criminal Minds and like MacGyver's on there. And something else too, I thought I just saw. Because I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I mean, maybe we could get lucky. They'll have to boot off one of the other shows. As long as it's not One Chicago, I'm fine with that. Or SVU. Like, don't even though like you can find that stuff on USA too, like because they're all connected.
Yeah.
MacGyver is not on NBC because Ion and USA, like, well, I don't know about Ion. I think so, but USA at least is like Universal TV television or whatever. So I don't know. Like, I don't know if the rookie would be a part of that, but like even if they could get like 1 or 2 seasons like in syndication, that would be great.
It'd just be fun. Like, I just feel like that would be, I mean, obviously, yes, I know you can do it like on Hulu or whatever,
right?
But unless you have like, a way to like connect it to like your TV, which I mean, I do occasionally, depending on where I am, but like not always. And it's just not the same like watching it on like a computer screen versus TV.
Well, and like the rookie rewatch team, they do, rewatches. Next week is Sergeant Bradford. At the end of the month, it's like a holiday week like rewatch. But still, like, I don't know. Just having it like on an accessible channel, because like I know for me, like I don't have USA. Like I don't have that as part of my cable package. So all I have is like Ion and the CW and like a few other like kind of local-ish cable channels, and then like your ABC and NBC. So I'm usually watching my streaming services, but even then I'm just like sometimes I'll go over to regular TV and it's like I'm kind of just stuck with whatever is on. That's how I've kind of started watching like the stuff on Ion. I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. I don't know these characters, but like it's on as background noise. So
that was like me on vacation. It was like either like Ion, so I was watching like SVU or like One Chicago or whatever.
Yeah.
Castle was on Lifetime.
I know my mom my mom has had like NBC playing like in the background just for some other noise or whatever. And on Wednesday nights, I'll hear the One Chicago shows and I'm like, that sounds very familiar. Like, what is that? And I'm like, oh, it's Wednesday, it's One Chicago like reruns. And then I like try and place the episode and I'm like, I don't know if that's the episode, but like that'll happen with like Thursdays or whatever too. So I don't know, it's kind of fun. But
anyway, major tangent there.
We're at the end of the episode anyway. So if you guys want to hear more of our tangents, like feel free to keep listening to this podcast. We don't go off onto many tangents on Twitter, kind of because it's hard, but we will tweet some interesting threads or, just interesting things.
Randomly.
Yeah. I mean, a few weeks ago we did like the rookie characters as ice cream flavors, which was fun and interesting and kind of odd. So yeah. But if you guys want to, you can follow us on Twitter at the Shop Talk Pod _ or email us at shoptalktherookiepodcast@gmail.com with all of your thoughts. You can find us individually on Twitter as well. I'm at jstark804.
And I'm at Carrie Hyman.
And next week we'll be back with a new episode. And some of the rookie rewatch ladies will be joining us to talk about the Sergeant Bradford evolution. The episodes that we're rewatching next weekend are going to be 115, 202, 213, 214, 402, and 403. So it'll be like 2 a day for 3 days. So yeah,
I'm so excited for 202.
I know. I'm just excited like for like a Sergeant Bradford rewatch. Like we did the Chenford week ones, and that was like you're rewatching the entire episode as a whole because you can't like just skip in and out of it. But yeah, you're like focusing hardcore on the Chenford. So yeah. But yeah, so don't miss out on the rewatch. And then they'll be joining us on the podcast. And yeah, we're gonna make it a whole thing for Sergeant Bradford. Bye everyone.
Bye guys.
Go get him, boo.